So I wanted to talk about self-ownership because I believe that I own me. I believe that I should be responsible for me, and that you own you, and that you should be responsible for you. And if there's things that maybe I don't know how to do that you know how to do, hopefully we can voluntarily work out a exchange of my time or my money for your time to help me accomplish what I don't know how to do yet, right? And so that can happen on a lot of different levels in life. It can happen with education, it can happen with services, it can happen with, well, with every aspect. I mean, that's what we already do with each other. But sometimes we include middlemen. And if I know how to do something that you need done, and you trust that I'm capable of doing it, well, who else would need to put their hand into that exchange of energy? That's the whole idea, is do you believe that you own you? Or do you believe that somebody else has a claim of ownership over you? Most people I come in contact with, they believe that they own them. You know, they like to be the boss of their self. But yet I invite them to do something and they say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that because I have to work. I say, well, why do you have to work? Do you need the money? Like, oh no, I got a lot and saved up, you know, and I got more stuff than I could ever imagine, but well, I got to work. I said, why do you got to work then? They said, well, because if I don't work, then I'm not gonna have a job. they're gonna fire me. I'm like, well, there's a lot of other people that want to have a job, right? Well, yeah, but then maybe maybe they're gonna keep the job, and I won't be able to. You know, I don't know. Why I gotta work? Why do you gotta work? Because I gotta pay rent. Why? Is somebody making you? Is somebody forcing you? Well, no, but I gotta have a place to put my stuff, right? And a place to shower, and a place to poop and pee and make my dinner. And how often do you make your dinner? All the time. No, you don't. Sometimes you go out. Sometimes you hire somebody else to do it for you, right? No problem. I'm not suggesting that people shouldn't have an apartment, but is it working for you? Is the question I'm asking. How much do you pay? How much enjoyment do you get out of it? So if you pay $1,000 a month for a place to live, and you're paying somebody else because they built it for you, right? They built it for you, they maintain it. They're the ones that you call if you have a problem. You know, they're the middleman. And middlemen can be of a benefit, or they can work it to a way that they're in control. I mean, like if I have a big building that has lots of little apartments in it, and I make up a rule that says you can't just build a little building You have to build either at least a full-size house, or if you have the money, then you can build a big apartment building like what I've built. But you can't just build something little, because that doesn't make us money. So that's why you don't see very many little houses being on a piece of property, is because there's minimum size standards and there's minimum construction standards. But what surprises me is why are people always focused on building on a minimum standard rather than what might work better? Fred Flintstone, it's unlikely that he handed down Pebbles a mortgage. His house was made out of rock, and so it didn't catch on fire, and it didn't float away if the water comes up to it, and the wind probably didn't move it around very much either. And rocks, they still exist, and castles that have been built out of rocks have lasted for thousands of years. And so once you stack rocks up into a wall and you put a roof on it and you decorate it however you want to decorate it, and you include any kind of systems that you would like to see in it to make your life a little bit better, how long should you have to keep paying to live in it? Or if you've done the work, or you've maybe exchanged your time and energy for somebody else to do the work because they know how already, or maybe they're strong, and then moving rocks takes takes muscles. So let's just do some quick math. $1,000 a month times 12 months, right? So that's $12,000. And since you probably are going to be living for at least, maybe you really like the area that you're living in and you'd like to stay there for 10 years, okay? So now we have $12,000 times 10 years. What's that? It's $120,000. Okay, so for $120,000 you could rent an apartment and pay for electricity and have somebody else haul away your trash for you when you take it to the dumpster. Have somebody else take care of your water and your sewer and your electricity and your appliances. So if something fails, there's security in not having to do it yourself, right? Well, for $120,000, you could build a really, really, really cool shelter that's on wheels. And then, if in 10 years you wanted to move, you just move it with you. You just take it with you. If you lived in the apartment, you'll let the office know, hey, we're going to be moving out next month. And they say, oh, okay, thank you. And if you've impeccably maintained the apartment, you might get your cleaning deposit back. But it's pretty unlikely. And that $120,000 that you spent is gone. Like a magic show. Bippity boppity boo. Gone. Whereas, if you spent money building a really cool mobile shelter, I've seen some awesome ones that would make most people in mansions jealous just because how cool they are. And say you spend $30,000 building it, okay? So you've either saved $90,000 to be able to go on some vacations or pay for your education or buy the things that you want in your life. So you've saved $90,000. You have a tangible item that you probably think is pretty cool by now. You've been in it for 10 years. You've really made it yours. It makes its own power. You've gotten used to the little changes in how you live life. But say you want to, you've decided that that's no longer something that you want. Well, then you could sell it. And then, because you've maintained it, you might even make money on it. Maybe now it's worth $50,000. So you've been living for 10 years in something that now you've just made $20,000 on. Who knows? Even if you only made $500 on it, it's still been something that you maybe just haven't considered yet. These choices happen in so many different aspects of our lives. You know, do you want to have a job? You know, I think job is an acronym for just over broke. It's the way an employer likes to keep you, so that way you'll keep coming back for more. You know, if you start making too much money, you're going to start getting some ideas. You might be able to do this for yourself. If you only had the money to buy the tools or the space to create what you're creating for someone else in their busyness. Luckily for me, my trade is plumbing. And for plumbing, all I had to have was a truck and some tools. And so I bought a truck, and I bought the tools. And then I worked for myself. And I was able to retire from the rat race, debt-free, owning a little piece of property for my 40th birthday. Many of my friends are still trying to pay off their education because they're paying $1,000 a month to live in an apartment. They're paying $400 a month for a car to drive. They're paying $350 a month for food. We're the only animals on the planet, we're the only mammals on the planet that pay to exist. Now, if we're asking of someone else for their time, we should compensate them because we don't own them. And all of our interactions should be voluntary. There's nobody forcing you to live in an apartment. There's nobody that's going to force you to live in a mobile shelter. We're not going to force anybody to live in hobbit homes. And we're not going to say that if you want to own a mansion, that that's wrong either. We're all here on this independent experience in a collective nature where we are co-creating our experience. Certain things have been made to seem normal. Debt is normal. I've been in debt. I've worked paycheck to paycheck. I've had to not do the things that I wanted to do just to be able to make the monthly bills. You know, maybe I wanted to go for a drive up in the mountains, but that's going to use too much money in gas, and I don't need to do that right now. Or maybe I wanted something but couldn't afford it, so I have to save up. But it's really hard to save up when it's a constant demand on our energy just to exist. So now I live differently. I built my house. I built my systems. My water comes from a well in the ground. My sewage is taken care of through systems that put it back into the ground. My vehicles, I either build them myself or I buy them secondhand. You can buy a vehicle that doesn't run on Craigslist for $300 or $400. And then if you have skills as a mechanic, or you know people who have skills as a mechanic, you can turn that $300 car into a car that's $1,500 or $3,000 by putting a few hours of time into it. And so when you have the time to put your energy in different directions, that becomes like bippity boppity boo. Because when you turn $300 into $3,000, and if you only have 5 hours invested in that transaction, well, it's like you're making about $500 an hour. Well, how much you making now working for somebody else? I know a lot of people who they are working for a business that isn't theirs. Their efforts, their energy goes into making somebody else a lot of money, and goes into earning that somebody else a vacation home and ski boats and big fancy trucks and a big fat bank account. It's okay to work for somebody else. They're handling the liabilities, right? But whenever we work for somebody else, we work and give our energy to a middleman, we're taking away from what we can build in ourselves. So we have to trust in ourselves. And I think that we really do trust in each other too, except when it comes to politics. Because what we've seen in politics is one group of people voting for one color, a red or a blue, and they want their will, if they win, to be pushed on other people. And we're willing to use the violence inherent in the government to do it. So that's why it's so important that your team wins, is because you don't want the other team's ideals pushed on you. What if there was another way? What if there was a way where only good ideas would be supported, no matter who they come from? Because if I believe that I own me, and you believe that you own you, who should be able to make you do anything, including paying taxes? Because a tax is a claim of ownership over you. Now, if a service is being provided, that's not really a tax. But it has to be a service that you desire. I mean, I can't just come up and charge you $5 for a tax and then hand you a rock. I'll give you a rock and a stick. And you're like, what the hell is this for? I'm like, I don't know. But I'd make it justifiable that I charged you $5. You're like, but you didn't even give me what I want. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I won the election. So you give me your $5 and you get the rock and the stick. You're like, I don't want the fucking rock and stick, man. I'm like, I know, but we won, so this, my team won, and so now you have to pay the $5 for the rock and the stick. You're like, listen, man, I'm going to take this rock and this stick, and I'm going to do some things with it that you're just not going to like, so you need to stop trying to push your will on me. See, what we do here is we live in a constitutional republic, and it allows for the will of the majority to be pursued by government, established through a democratic process, without violating the inalienable natural rights of the individual. So that's a mouthful. You're right. What if we reduced government to a GoFundMe page? We took away their power. They have no power. We have the power. We, the people, are the rightful masters of Congress and the courts. We, the people, are the people of this land, of this world. And a long time ago, we hired, our forefathers, our elders. They decided one day that it'd be all right to have something that we can, like public service providers. Somebody to take care of the things that we don't necessarily want to be bothered with in our day-to-day interactions with each other. Whose job is it to fix the road? Oh, well, that's the government. They're the public servant, right? And whose job is it to go help those people over there? Well, that's the government. We've given them some money, and we've established for the things that we want them to accomplish, and so those are what are to be done. But over time, government has stepped into a role where many people fear the government. They fear that if they don't pay their taxes, that men with guns will come, take them away from their homes and their jobs and their family, and throw them in a cage. Punish them for not paying for sticks and rocks.